Let's look at our notes for today. First thing I want y'all to do is look at the worksheet. We're going to look at the first problem. It says, write the linear equation in point-slope form and slope-intercept form given the point and the slope. So this is using what we learned in our notes from yesterday. We're using that point-slope form. So the first thing we would need to do is label x1, y1. And then our slope is m. We're going to use that formula. I'm going to just write it up here. Y minus y1 equals m, parentheses, x minus x1. We are going to plug in the values. So it's y minus, the y1 is a negative 11. Equals m, which is the half, parentheses, x minus, x1 is a negative 6. We need to simplify it before we move on. So any double negatives need to change to a plus. So this will be y plus 11 equals a half x plus 6. So this is our point-slope form. So we're going to write it down here. That exact thing, that is our point-slope form. So I'll put an arrow down here. We're going to write it on the line. Y plus 11 equals half, parentheses, x plus 6. So if we were asked what's the point-slope form, that's where we would get it. Okay, the second part is solving it for y to put it in that slope-intercept form. So slope-intercept form is the y equals mx plus b. So what we need to do is we need to solve for y now. So draw your line down your equal sign. And in order to solve it, we've got to simplify by getting rid of the parentheses. What do we do? Distribute, yeah. So we're going to distribute the half to x and the half to 6. So the left side stays the same. It's just y plus 11 equals half times x is just 1 over 2, half x, plus half of 6. Well, what is half of 6? It's 3, yeah. And if you have a mental block with fractions, put it in your calculator. Do that alpha y equals to do half and then multiply it times 6. Okay, and then our last step to get it to say y equals mx plus b, we're going to move this 11 to the other side because we want y to be by itself. So how do we move a positive 11 or a plus 11 to the other side? Subtract 11. Where are we going to subtract 11 on the right side? Underneath which number? The 3, yeah. So these cancel and we get y equals half x. 3 minus 11. Put it in the calculator. 3 minus 11. What is 3 minus 11? Negative 8. Good. So we're going to put minus 8. So this is my slope-intercept form. because it's in the y equals mx plus b. So we put y equals half x minus 8. So I'm going to give you a few minutes to do the other 3 problems that are just like this. So go ahead and get on started. You need to do these 3 problems. And then we will finish our notes. Okay, hopefully you have had time to do these 3. We're going to put our notes, our worksheet away and look at the notes from yesterday that look like this. And we need to finish examples 3 and 4. So let's start with 3. It says write an equation of the line in point slope form that goes through point 0, -2 and 3, 4. So let's label what we have. We have an x1 and a y1 and an x2 and a y2. We don't have an ilm on this. But what can we do to have an ilm? Find rise over run, or use our slope formula. So I'm going to put here, find slope. I cannot see that. There we go. Ilm equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So that's what we're going to have to do first before we do point slope form. So it's just like what we finished, but we have one added step. The one added step is finding slope first. So ilm equals, we got to do y2, which is 4, minus y1, -2, over x2, 3, minus x1, 0. I recognize this. Do y'all recognize this? It was the warm-up today. It's the same points. So anytime you have a double negative, it becomes plus. So you can change this minus minus to plus plus. That's the only time you can change it. If it's just a minus, you cannot change it. But if it's a minus a negative, that's a double negative, which becomes plus. So 4 plus 2 is 6. 3 minus 0 is 3. 6 over 3 is 2. So now we have, I'm going to write this out here, ilm equals 2. So that whenever we use our point slope form, we know what our ilm is now. So remember our formula. Y minus y1 equals ilm, parentheses, x minus x1. So we're substituting in things just like we were doing. Our y1 is going to come from y1. x2, y2, we're not going to use. We could, but we're not going to. We're going to focus on using it exactly as the formula. So in the y1 spot, we're going to put in y1. So it's y minus, y1 is -2, equals ilm goes in the ilm spot, 2. Parentheses, x minus x1 is 0. So we're going to go ahead and simplify. So this would be y plus 2 equals 2x minus 0. So that would be our point slope form. But really, we don't need that 0. But let's just go with it. The next step is to distribute. So we distribute the 2. Two times x is 2x. 2 times 0 is just 0. So do I need to put anything? No. It's useless to put plus 0 or minus 0. So we're going to leave it off and just carry down the left side. So now we're going to subtract 2 on both sides. I wouldn't put it under the 2x. I would put it out here just so that I don't accidentally subtract those because they're not like terms. So then this is y equals 2x minus 2. This is the slope-intercept form. So it's just like the last time, but there's just that added step of finding slope from the 2 points using that formula. All right, our last example. Using the equation below, determine the slope and a point. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write the formula right underneath. Y'all stay with me. This is our last example. Let's write our formula. Y minus y1 equals m parentheses x minus x1. What's the slope? What's right in front of the parentheses? 4. There we go. So go ahead and write m equals 4. And then x1. See how it's the same. Y minus 6. Y minus y1. We write our coordinate as x1 comma y1. So our y1 is 6. It's not negative 6, it's just 6. That comes from here. Then our x1 comes from here, but this says plus 2. How did it change to plus 2 when our formula says minus x1? How did it change? You remember? It was a minus a negative 2. That is the way it became plus 2. So that means that my x1 is a negative 2. It's the opposite of what it says in our formula. So this point is negative 2 comma 6. Go ahead and glue in your notes, and then you're going to continue working on that worksheet.